Alright guys, welcome back. So I'm going to be showing you guys a Mare combo. As many of you have already tried to maybe solve, and I'm pretty sure you've come to the conclusion that within itself, the combo can be a bit underwhelming, because it's really dependent on what you open, what level 2s you open, whether you do your speeder play with Nakijo, whether you do your speeder play with Converter, whether it's Double Warrior. Of course, it's apparent that whenever double is involved, your combo will always be infinitely better because of what it can do. It gives you level 1 tokens. It just gives you more resources to play with. And Junk Converter is a step below that because it gives you the option to like do a riskier play and not trigger its effect when you synchro summon and make speeder. But then you'll lose to Ash, which is the best thing about Converter, right? It lets you play past Ash because you chain block. So then you're vulnerable to Valor, Imperm, not Ash. Whereas Nakijo is like the worst one. You're vulnerable to everything. You're vulnerable to Ash, Valor, Imperm, and Gamma. Whereas this kind of bypasses Gamma as well, because they can't hit the speeder. But like considering that, right? Let's put this guy aside for a bit. These two are kind of identical unless you take that risk and not trigger it, because that means post NIbiru, when you do the shaman play, that means his effect to revive a tuner, it will still be live. And that's the decision trees you'll have to make on the spot, whether it's dependent on what the matchup is, and be like, okay, they don't play that many hand traps, so I can afford to do that type of thing, But these are virtually identical in the sense that you're always going to want to just trigger the effect, because there's no risking it, because like Imperm Valors are kind of everywhere at the moment as well. So like you're going to want to have that ruler play to be able to mill this guy and your Stardust Synchrons. But let me show you what I mean, because like within the combo, what it can produce, it can be underwhelming, because by the time you get to a point, you have to start implementing other factors, whether it be extenders or cards in your grave or more level 2s to summon off Shaman. The combo just basically gives you another door, right? And once you have another route, you can pick off where you last left off, which is the checkpoint, which is NIbiru, and that's the sole purpose of the Yazi play. And just to clarify, sometimes it does require you to have more factors involved, right? Like more cards in your hand, extenders, like overtake, teleport, jester, those type of things. But it's better than not having that as an option at all, because otherwise the alternative is just Omega Pass, So like adding that one Garnet is, I think it's worth it, because it just gives another layer to the deck when you go in second. Being able to pop something, force an interaction, have them waste an Ash on the Yazi float, which is not the main intent of the deck. The main intent is just, the main objective is having speeder resolve, and then just going off like that. Yazi is just meant to be like a stepping stone to that, to whether it be to initiate your combo or to pick up where you last left off, which was meant to be the speeder with the 3 Synchrons on the field. Does that make sense? Hopefully that made sense. But let me show you what I mean by you being able to like reach a dead end, right? Okay, so let's say for example, you make speeder with the worst card variation, right? You use speeder's effect, it resolves, right? You summon your 3 Synchrons with Stardust Synchron, Junk Synchron, and Cyber Synchron, okay? And then you can use Stardust Synchron's effect, adding Illumination, okay? And this is where they have to NIbiru, because like otherwise you just make a Crystal Wing and you just negate NIbiru. But if they have like 2 hand traps, then okay, you're kind of in trouble. Like I could just imperm Nib, Valor, Nib, just a nightmare. So let's say they NIbiru here, right? Token, well, kind of, not really. Then you're gonna use a little Stardust Illumination. It sends a Stardust monster with Stardust Dragon in its text. You send your Stardust Trail, and then you can attribute the token. They're basically facilitating your Yazi play, which is nice. Then you attribute token, special summon Stardust Synchron. So basically, for those of you that don't know what it does, you attribute a monster you control and summon it from Hand or Grave. It's banished when it leaves the field. And then Trail follows suits, because like whenever a monster in your field is attributed, you can summon her from Hand or Grave. Same thing, they get banished when they leave the field. So then you can go ahead and use the second effect, banish this to reduce either or by 1. They get banished. Okay, you go Yazi. And you want to put it up top because ogre's going around, and what happens most of the time, they're going to want to try to ogre this, and they miss his timing, so be aware of that. Okay, so then you're going to use effect, pop the NIbiru, and then you're going to float into your Mare, right? And then you're at this point in the combo where, so then you're going to use the effect 3 times, right? So it becomes a level 4, and then this gives you an Excel play, right? Let's go to Excel, right? And then Excel effect, make sure to keep it up top to give it protection from Ogre and Gamma. So you have these options to send. So it can either be a level 3, a level 2, or a level 1, right? So mainly when we use Excel, it's more often than not to make a shaman to be able to summon all the level 2s that we have, right? But at this point, we only have 1 level 2. So like, what does that actually give us? You know, it doesn't really give us anything. But something you can do as well is you can send him, use his effect, and send another non-tuner level 2 within carrier, right? But then you're going to reach a point in the combo where it just stops, and the only thing that you can get is either a Stardust Charge draw or a Herald, right? And that's not ideal. I mean, you're basically trading an Omega for a Herald or an Omega for a Baron. You know, I mean, already it's a step above because Herald with protection and a little macro effect is quite impactful, and it's an Omni Negate to say the least, which is not bad. And Baron is the Omni Negate as well, so that's better than Omega because you can decide what you want to negate compared to Omega just ripping a random card. Like you can possibly hit their best card, you can possibly hit the worst card. So it's very dependent. Okay, it's you know, so that's why Omega it's like more so to clear the slot, so you can have room to continue your combo. But yeah, so you can either send this, make it level 9, right? Or you can make it a level 7. You can 8, make a ruler, right? But by then, what do you really want to mill? You know, you've already, I mean, like you can possibly get like a jester, and then maybe like, I don't know, you have teleport in hand, you know? So it varies on what else you have to play with. And that's the intent of this particular sequence, to give you the option to have a variety of plays, considering what you want to implement to this sequence, because you can add cards that are higher this sequence just within itself, but then you increase inconsistencies by adding those garnets, right? Because you already added a garnet within Mare, and then if you add more things, like whether you add Hoppy or Squadron, because you can search that of Cupid Pitch, right? Because you can go Cupid Pitch and then end on a Starlight Warrior play, like, you know, start adding variants to your possibilities. But considering that you're going to be adding inconsistencies, that's not really something you want to do, you know? So like leaving it to what other cards you have, which are meant to have synergy with the entire deck as a whole anyway, I think that's enough to justify just a Mare on its own. But yeah, for example, let's say we send this, right? Let's say we send that, so it becomes a level 3, right? So then now we can make a level 4 pitch, right? So right here, you can either go increase by 3 or reduce by 3. So it's either gonna be a 7 or a 1, right? So now that we have 2 level 2 non-tuners that we can run back with Shaman, that's an option. Or like I mentioned before, if you want to add Hoppy Squadron, you can make it level 8, go into Chaos Ruler, right? And you play hand traps. So what if you go Chaos Ruler, add Hoppy Squadron, and you excavate a NIbiru, you know, or an Ogre, or another hand trap, maybe play Veiler, I don't know. And then you have like a Veiler on top of a Starlight Warrior play, or you have an Omega, you know, like little things like that you start considering. But once again, I mentioned before, the more garnets, the higher the ceiling you want to make it, the more garnets you have to implement, and then that's where inconsistencies lie. And I guess each their own. It's very subjective whether you feel like, okay, I don't mind it. I don't mind adding that. I think it's worth it, you know. And that's basically what I did with the Mare. I think it's worth it, so I implemented it. I was like, okay, it should be fine. But yeah, let's say we just do the. Okay, you go Shaman. So Challenge 1, Challenge 2, right? You bring back this guy, and you can add your Yugioh, right? And right here, what you have now is you burn them for 200 if you're winning in time, or you can make into a herald, right? Herald, or you can make a draw one, or you can go draw one and you can add Hopseer Squadron, make a crystal wing. You know, like it just little things like that. But let's say we do the other route. So let's say we're here. Let's say we're back here, and you send Junk Synchron. So it becomes level 2, right? So then you can go Synchro into Marcher, right? Marcher, and then you make Shaman here. And then this revives. Right? And then it just gives you possibilities. That's the whole intent of the combo line. Possibilities. That's the whole point. Of course, you would just put this here so you can make a thing there, you know? Like, yeah. And of course, the combo changes the moment you implement Doppel Warrior. Because Doppel Warrior, if you're forced to go overtake, summon this, go into speeder that way, and you get your beard, then this guy can just generate more tokens, which is insane. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, so let's see you go overtake, right? Overtake, summon junk, so normal summon this, and you go speeder, right? You go chain 1, chain 2, Doppel Warrior. So you're way beyond NIbiru range. Okay, you get 2 tokens, and then you get your starter synchron, junk synchron, and your cyber synchron, and then you search this. So they have to NIbiru here. They just have to. There's just no way they shouldn't. They just have to. You get NIbiru'd. You get a token. You activate illumination. You send trail. We're back again. Tribute the token. Trigger. Trail. You reduce. They get banished. Up top, remember up top. Effect, pop, floats into Mare, right? You use the effect 3 times. I'm trying to go a little faster this time. I don't want to go make this video way too long. So it's level 4, right? And then you make a Excel, and then Excel effect. You'll send that, either increase or decrease. At this point, it doesn't really matter because it's all dependent on what your extract looks like. If it's any like mine, then I guess this is the way to go. You go shaman. Shaman summons that. Then this goes into Cupid pitch. You reduce, right? And this make that, and then you search Yugioh, right? And then you can go into Herald up top, special this, right? And then you can make an Omega here, right? So like it is better than just Omega pass. You know, it gives you an Omni Negate, a little macro effect, and Omega returning this to graveyard, right? So you have 2 interactions, right? You have cybers for protection, you know, and it's very dependent on what else you have in hand. Whether you have teleports, whether you have more level 2s to summon off shaman, and this is what I was talking about. It's very dependent, but within the combo itself, it can be very limiting. But yeah, hopefully this just wasn't all over the place. Hopefully it made a bit of sense so you can understand it. And I guess to this point, if you want to increase the ceiling and add other cards that makes this sequence better, go for it. You know, that's the whole point. And that's the risk you're willing to take. And if it's fulfilling for you, then go for it. Because of course you can implement other cards and make this combo even better, you know. But I wanted to keep it very minimalistic and then just have the deck as simplistic as possible and as consistent as possible. But yeah. Hopefully enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe if you haven't. Thanks for watching.